Hello, fellow mech warriors. Mage Leader here, and today we've got another painting stream going on. So, welcome those of you who have joined in right off the bat. Hopefully we'll get some more people hopping in as we go along. But I was at my local store yesterday, and not only did they have a big shipment of BattleTech stuff in for the first time since basically ever, but they also had a bunch of the new books in. They just it wasn't just like clan invasion stuff, which is what I thought they'd ordered. There were actually like inner sphere lance packs there and like the Comstar force packs. So I picked up one of those and one of the lances as well. And I gotta say, like, these new miniatures are fantastic. I got 3 of my favorite designs in with this set. These 2 sets, rather. And I got to looking at the way the Cyclops looks, and I thought to myself, I have to paint this right away. And if I'm going to do that, I should probably do it on the stream, because people really seem to like the Atlas stream last time. So, for those of you who haven't seen it, my camera doesn't like to focus on things that are close up, but I'll try and bring it in so you can see. Yeah, I don't think that's going to focus. Bring it out here a little. There you go. That's a little better, but yeah, it's definitely one of the better looks the Cyclops has had. They made it nice and boxy. It almost has a Highlander sort of look to it. The new Highlander, by the way, also looks really cool. So these are 2 of my favorite mech designs, the big, stompy humanoid machines. And when I think of BattleTech, I don't actually typically think of the Atlas, I think of these 2 guys. And that's BattleTech for me. So we'll get those guys there. I will set up the Cyclops and get it ready to go. Meanwhile, crack open a can, have something to drink here, and we'll get started. Pansy, it does come with the Thug, which is also really cool. Might be the best the Thug has ever looked. There it is right there. Fantastic. So I got the other set. It's got the King Crab in it. And man, that is a substantial miniature. That is a big boy. I almost picked that one to paint, but that's a lot of plastic to cover. I mean, the Cyclops is too, but King Crab, that's a lot of stuff. But yeah, I do really like the way this new Cyclops looks. I do kind of prefer the rounded head that the old version had, but the flat top is also cool, and they got the most important part, which is the eye. Hi, Daniel Jones. Welcome. Glad to see that you've decided to watch me out of everybody else on this godforsaken website. Alright. We'll put them on the painting handle. Let me get my brushes out. Let's see. You'll probably want this one to start out with. Hopefully my audio isn't too bad. I tried to get it set it up ahead of time. So we will. Bristles are stiff. I'm pretty sure that the brush cleaner and restorer that I got at my local hobby shop is just rubbing alcohol. But whatever it is, it does miracles for the brushes. It's good stuff. Alright, and then we will set that off to the side here so I don't knock it over. Though I probably still will at some point. Now, what I haven't done is decide on a color scheme for the Cyclops. I don't typically do my Assault Mechs in Mage Squadron colors, because we don't really use a lot of them in Mage Squadron, so I'm not sure what I want to go with. We did the Steiner Scout Lance for the Atlas pack. I have him right here, the one that we painted last time, right there, which I think came out fantastic, and my cheap little webcam doesn't really do it justice, but in person, this is a very nice looking paint job, I think. One of the better ones that I've done. And it was all you guys' idea. So something similar to that, we'll pick a paint scheme first, and we'll see how it goes from there. Now, I've made it no secret my favorite mercenary company is the Northwind Highlanders. I thought maybe I'd do up something like that, but if you guys have a better idea, we can discuss it. And I will look it up on Unit Color Compendium, and we can see. Let's see, can I get... I want to pull up a new instance of my browser here. All right. So I think if I swap these around, there we go. Yes, Nexus, I do have Moxie. It is one of the proudest things of my home state. Is that you can just go to the store and buy Moxie. Though it's been unavailable for a while now. There's been a shortage that's finally starting to come back onto store shelves. I've been deprived for the past 2 years. Alright. Well, we can take a look on here. Lethal Injection Cyclops. Black, pink, and electric blue. I don't think I actually have any pink. It's not a color that I use very often. Or electric blue, for that matter. What color even is electric blue? It's a song, apparently. Oh, okay. I guess I do. That's just like what I consider to be basic blue. I think I might have something like that, but I typically like navy blues when I do colors. But I don't think I have any pink, so that's kind of out. Somebody kind of suggested Black Watch, which does also fit with Northwind Highlanders. So we can do Starlink Defense Force. They don't actually seem to have a lot for them. I guess Inner Sphere. Let's see what do they have? Wolf Dragoons. Wolf Dragoons, Wolf Dragoons, Wolf Dragoons. Yes, there are other mercenary units besides Wolf Dragoons. Ooh, the Waco Rangers. Oh, that's cool. That's a cool color scheme. White Witches. I'm not going to do that. Wanamaker's Widowmakers. Oh, that's cool. It's a great name. Vegan Rangers. Oh, man. Vandalaise Valkyries. Come on, where's the Northwind Highlanders? I know they're in here, and I know that they have their own Blackwatch regiment. I thought they were one of the more famous ones. Thought they'd be right toward the top. Team Bonsai. The Blackwatch's actual name is 103rd or 193rd Royal Battle Mech Division. Okay, well that does make sense. Though, you'd think on a site like this they'd just call them the Blackwatch. since that's what they're commonly known as. Yes, I know, Pansy. Vegan Rangers are from a planet called Vegan. I know, but it's still funny. Specs Rex. Oh, there's some great names in here, by the way. Snords are regulars. There we go. Oh, that's a tricky looking color scheme. Ugh. It's sort of like dazzle camouflage. No standard paint scheme. Makes sense. They are called the irregulars for a reason. The Shady Ladies. Screaming Eagles. Everyone's got this basic green. Ronin. For like the Ronin War. I'm only half reading these. I could have scrolled right past them and not noticed. Yeah, that was Snake Stompers up there a ways back. Eridani Light Horse had some famous Cyclops pilots. I'm not as familiar with them. I hear about them a lot. I have a friend who does Eridani Light Horse. I think they typically just go with the regular olive drab, though. And that's boring. God damn, there are a lot. Ah, there they are. Northwind Highlanders. Okay. So, they've got a few different schemes here. So, we've got sort of like a beige, a sort of off green, and a darker brown. Okay. And then there's like a tartan pattern. That's the tricky part. So, that's an option. Oh, Light Horse Regiment. That's incredibly boring. Oh, did it send me all the way back up to the top? It better not have. Oh, it totally did. God damn you. I'm not even seeing Eridani in here. Like, they had a Light Horse Regiment, but that could be anybody. Skywarp Black and Purple scheme. I don't think I have purple either. I gotta get more paints. Wait, no! I do have pink. Because I was painting something on one of my Gundam model kits that needed like a pink jewel or something painted on it, and I got the pink specifically for that. I think I have pink. So let me take a quick look here and see. Let me swap back to my camera here. Let me see. Do I have pink? Where are you? Dig through my massive bag of paints. That's ridiculously unorganized. See, I have blue. That's one of the things that we needed. I've got black as well. That's a primer, though. Typically just go straight black. I do have the Corvus black paint pot. Hopefully that's still good. Never can tell with Citadel. Aha! Aha! I do have pink. Okay. Alright. So let's check my... I don't typically go straight black. I've got a dark gray called Corvus Black from Citadel that I use. Oh, it's still good. We're in business, boys. Lethal Injection. That is not a concept I'm familiar with. Is that like a specific style, or... Still look around for a couple different camo schemes here. So Just for some ideas about... Ooh. Okay, something like this, but with those colors that the Dragon Slayers have. Paint it bright pink like its textures are missing. It looks like a Source Engine asset. Nice. It's a Merc company. Alright, let me see if I can... Lethal injection. Formed in 3056 on Outreach. Result of a tax write-off. Yep, sounds about right. Funds provided by a Magistrate of Canopus Colonel. The unit began hiring troops. 2 battalion strong unit signed their first contract with the Magistrate of Canopus. Oh, they're Canopians. You're trying to get me to paint Canopians? Gross. Gross. Ugh. Why would you do that? Why would you do that to me? All right, let's keep looking a little bit. We'll keep that as an option because that does sound kind of cool. But I don't know if I pink battle mechs. Let's see, does this site have a search bar? It does. Let me see if I can find them here. Oops, I totally misspelled it. That's embarrassing. Let's try this again. Lethal injection. There they are. Parade colors. Oh, it's a salmon color, not pure pink. Okay, and then it's like a greenish blue. That actually does look really cool. Okay, so this is not the right type of pink, but I do have a sort of... It's almost like a skin tone, and I do have one of those. 4th Tau Ceti Rangers. Yeah. I'd like to do the Somerset Strikers, but they don't have an actual like standard paint scheme. Everybody's got their own thing that they did, at least in the show. Still need to paint one of my Panthers pink. Oh, dude! That's a great idea. I do actually have the Panther. Let me swap those. No, swap. There we go. Yeah, I actually do have one of the new Panthers. Paint that pink. That would be fun. Maybe another time we can do that. But okay. So we've got salmon teal. I mentioned it a little earlier, Grimlock Steve. I'm not going to do them in Mage Squadron colors because we don't really do assault mechs. Like, we've got a couple, but typically they're used for things like fire support or quick response. We don't really use Cyclops very often. They're a little slow for our purposes. So, okay. So that's... The lethal injection is an option, but I'm almost desperate for other ideas now because Canopians. But that's definitely an option, and it's a cool paint scheme. I do like that. They look really cool. So let's go back to the mercenaries, or actually, you know what? Let's see what the FRR has for their units. 1st through 4th Cavalry, that's where I got the Mage Squadron colors from. The Hussars, 1st through 3rd. Gunsbury Eagles. Oh my god, these guys went all out. Holy shit. Freemen use a drab green scheme with upper torsos painted to resemble a wooded skyline. God damn. If I was Bob Ross, I might be able to pull that off. Jeez. Wow. Okay. Darwin's Whippets. Okay, I'll see if they appear. Type in Darwin and see what we get. Oh, yep, did it. God damn it. You son of a bitch. Uh, why would you do that? Okay. Okay, so back to Rosselhog we go. Never used Dominion colors. That is absolutely correct. Only by coincidence. Oh, is that really all there is for Rosselhog? I mean, it's not surprising. They're kind of a small, short-lived faction that nobody likes except me. So, not surprising. This guy looks kind of cool. I'm not sure why they picked an urban mech to show off the paint scheme, but there it is. You got that darker blue combined with that olive drab. It's not bad. Empire Builder 12. Hey Mage, recently finished painting up my practice batch of Ghost Bear Alpha Galaxy mechs. You're a traitor, sir. But congratulations. Hope those perform well for you on the table. Good stuff. I should really learn like some runic stuff so I can paint those on the mechs. That's a neat color scheme, I guess. Let's see here. Security forces. Oh, there's only 2. On this site, anyway. Coventry Metalworks. Or Rust Brown. I don't think I have that color, but that does look pretty kick-ass. What else we got? Periphery. The Oregon Coalition. That might be cool. Urano House. Go full on. Oh. You guys don't actually have pictures. Boo. Boo. Alright, Periphery. Periphery? There we go. The Marian Hegemony. That'd be kind of cool. I know I pissed a lot of people off by not giving them enough credit in my brief summary of the Inner Sphere circa 3025. Ooh. Oh, that pops. That really pops. Blue with red and white stripes. First Legio Matria Victrix. Ameris Dragoons. There's an idea. Yeah, that would be neat. We'll look up the Dragoons here real quick. Like, these guys are super easy. It's just black. These guys are cool, too, with the white stripes. But that's just like what I did with Steiner, though. So, don't really necessarily need that. Ameris Dragoons. Yeah, that's not terrible. It's a little boring though. Okay, the neighbors have decided to go bowling upstairs, I guess. Davian. Yeah, we can take a quick look at Davian. Inner Sphere. Ah, son of a bitch. Inner Sphere. Federated Commonwealth. Federated Suns. That's what we want. Deneb, like Cavalry, is just camo. Crucis Lancers. You got sort of like a forest green with faded red and white. That's kind of cool. I'm not really a fan of Davian, though. They tend to be the goody two-shoes faction, and nobody likes that. Royal Cavaliers look cool. What about the Atomo? How good are your calligraphy skills? The Atomo. Well, I can freehand letters and stuff like that pretty well, but I don't actually know any katakana or kanji or anything like that. Yeah, no results. All right. Oh, get back here. Okay. We got Free Worlds League. You know what? Let's get a little adventurous here. Let's go with the Kathy Steiner faction. Yeah, I back Catherine Steiner. What of it? This one's kind of cool. Winfield's Brigade. That's kind of cool. Otomo. 1T. Oh, okay. We'll look at that up. There they are. Hello. Oh. 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 Damn. That is snazzy. I don't even know if I have a good gold for that. I have like a darker gold, not a bright one, but I could still kind of make that work. The Cyclops would look damn good with that. But I also really hate the Draconis Combine. So, torn. It looks so cool, but I hate the Drax. Man. Tarian Concordat. Fine, I'll look at the Tarian Concordat. It's another. The Taurians are a faction that there's a meme in the Everything BattleTech server about how much I don't like the Taurians. The Taurians are fine. I'm just jealous, really, because they're the tiny little underdog faction that didn't get steamrolled by the clans. So I'm a little salty that they're the ones that get to stick around when mine is so much cooler. If I could paint flame effects, I'd definitely do that one, but that would just come out embarrassing. These guys all have really complicated things. Okay. The dumbass Legionnaires we got here. That's kind of cool. There's a lot of colors involved in that one. Yeah, these guys all like to do like camo patterns and stuff. The Taurian guards are kind of cool. That sort of darkish brown. That's not bad. No, I'm not going to do a Canopus scheme. That's the whole reason I decided not to do the that one mercenary unit. Lethal injection. I kind of like the first Taurian Lancers here. Christmas colors. With that beige to kind of break it up a little. That's kind of neat. Don't think it would really work as well on a Cyclops, though. What else can we try? Comstar. Just paint it white. Okay, let's see. We can do periphery. The Hanseatic League. Do the Rimworld's Republic. Take a look at that. Team Q. Ooh, the Greenhaven Gestapo. Make it a bad guy mech. That'd be kind of cool, actually. Still a camo pattern on the lower portion. Damien's Destroyers. Burning Tigers. I have to break out like the painting tape for that. Do half and half. Ooh. Nice Stalker. Blood Rain. That actually looks really cool. That's that sort of dark crimson with the olive. That does look really good. I actually really like this one. So these guys are pirates. Are they still around? I'm going to look them up. Pirate band formed from the remains of the 141st Ameris Dragoons Regiment. Okay. Oh, shit. It appears that they didn't survive the First Succession War. Or at the very least, they weren't significant beyond that. But they could still be around. Disappeared. Actually turned pirate, becoming known as Blood Rain. Tactics unknown. Oh, this is just something that you could straight up make up stories about. That's cool. Alright. This is it, guys. This is the scheme we're going with. Alright. We found the paint scheme. So, I will need a red and an olive drab. Both of which I think I've got nearby. There's the red. Do I have it in this little box here? No, I think I got it. In my giant bag of paints. I have a lot of forest greens, I know, because I was a Dark Angels player when I played 40K. Throw some of that in there to shake it up a little. There it is. This color is called refractive green. It's sort of like a brownish green. Not quite olive drab. With Vallejo, it's actually, I believe, if you look at the bolt action boxes, it's recommended as a color for like Russian tanks. Let's get it shaken up. But the primary color on this is going to be the red. All right. So let's get that out onto the wet palette there. Oh, we're going to need more than that. Probably going to need more than that, too. So these Vallejo paints go really well just on the plastic. So every time I do one of these painting streams or paint with other people, I get a lot of shit because I don't prime my miniatures first. I'd find that plastic minis tend to just take paint right off the bat really well. And I haven't... Unless it's like a specific color that I'm going for, if I'm going for a really bright primary, then it helps to do like an undercoat of a lighter color first. But for these darker colors, it goes right on the gray plastic just fine. And we've got our first brush stroke of the day. And you guys know that my method works because I used it on the Atlas, and that Atlas looks spectacular. The other nice thing is when you do the thin coats like this on just the plastic, it comes out a little, kind of a little broken and weathered looking right out the gate. So it doesn't actually require a lot of extra dry brushing or shading to look like it's a little weathered. So when you're painting something that's representing a giant robot, you don't want your colors to be too pristine, or it'll look like a toy, rather than the giant death machine it's supposed to look like when you're done. So I'm going to start by painting most of this guy red, and then we'll paint the green over top of the red as we go, just wherever we feel like it should go. And then I've got the forest green to throw on as well. So we'll do like some, not highlights, but like around like the borders of the green areas, we'll put on the the darker forest green, and that should help to make that pop a little. Do the Blood Rain. That's a cool name for a unit too. Bunch of pirates. Oh yeah, I'm already really liking the red on the Cyclops. When I do eventually paint the Highlander, I'm definitely going to do it as Northwind because it's a Highlander. You either need to have a Northwind Highlander or an SLDF Deathwatch Highlander in your collection. Preferably both. But, like, that is the paint scheme for that mech. Again, pardon the noises. I thought the neighbors had gone out for the day, but apparently they have not. What color cockpit glass are you going with? I will probably do what I normally do and do that sort of jeweled green that I use on things like... I've got actually my Warhawk here I can show off. Hopefully it... my camera doesn't like to show it. But it's a metallic bright silver painted over with a green glaze, and it gives a nice glassy effect. And that's typically what I use for most of my mech cockpits, just because I like the way the green looks. We already have a lot of green on this guy, so I might do it with a blue glaze instead. I'm not sure if the bit in the right torso is supposed to be an autocannon or a PPC. Because normally if I have a thing with a PPC, I do that blue effect on the PPC. But maybe I'll switch it up and do green on that bit and then do blue on the cockpit this time. There's no such thing as like standard construction in the inner sphere anyway. At least not in the time periods I like to play in, so I could make it any color. Be bold, go red glaze. Yeah, but this thing's gonna be almost entirely red as it is. That's a little much. Alright, definitely need to add some more water to my paint. There we go. There, that's better. You can always kind of tell whether your paint needs more or less water in it when you're putting it on. If your brush feels like it's sticking to the plastic, you need water. Already really liking the way that red looks. I might go over the chest piece with another coat here that is dried up a little bit. But it tends to settle toward the center of the flat surfaces, and then, or actually it's more like the opposite. It forms up around like the edges of it, and then the center, the parts that would probably realistically be getting hit the most, have a sort of grayish undertone to them, so it kind of makes it look weathered. And that's kind of how I get a roughed up look on a lot of my things. Use just the tip and keep it wet. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, Johannes Karamazov asks, also, I gotta ask since I kinda, due to supply, got a few clan mechs just cause any mech is better than none. How does Comstar actually use clan mechs? They definitely had the chance to loot some after Tukiad. Kind of. The period between the clan invasion and the overall dissolution of Comstar is very narrow, but there was a time period where they had some clan mechs. I mean, they needed to replace a lot of the shit they lost on Tukiad because it was a very hard won battle that they had. But yes, you can field clan mechs in a Comstar unit, and it shouldn't be that big a deal. Part of that, they captured clan mechs. They wanted to examine the tech because Comstar has always been the people with the tech. So when there's new stuff that they don't have, they're gonna yoink it. This is back when BattleTech was written somewhat coherently, in a way that almost made sense. Back in the good old days. Yeah, that red is looking great. I might do a bunch of my mechs up in this paint scheme. We'll see how it looks when it's done, but I like the idea of playing pirates for a change. I've done a lot of mercenary work, but just have guys that are completely in it for themselves. Hey, welcome to the stream, Kay. Not sure what the cat's about, but welcome. Glad you could make it. Alright, let's get this armor plating up here on the arm. Yeah, that looks good. Normally when I do this I'm playing music in the background, but last time YouTube yelled at me because I apparently public domain classical music is copyrighted, like everything else on YouTube. Funny enough, when I used music that was actually copyrighted in some of my videos, like the soundtracks from MechWarrior 2 that I put into my most recent ones, not a peep out of the YouTube algorithm. Nothing. But if I use royalty-free music from a site where all they do is distribute stuff with no copyright attached to it, stuff that's public domain. If I use that stuff, you better believe there's bots coming in to copyright claim my ass so they can steal ad revenue off my videos. And I don't. It's not really the money that bugs me because I don't have a Google AdSense account. I'm not making any money off of the channel itself. Any money that I make comes purely from my Patreon. So I'm not too worried about that. But the idea that somebody is making money off of my work and my videos, and like if I actually use copyrighted music, then I'm fine with them getting ad revenue off of it. It's fair. But when it's copyright free music, and I specifically went out of my way to use something that isn't copyrighted, and somebody's still making money off of what I do, that really pisses me off. Even though it's not much, obviously, because ad revenue is already tiny. But it's the principle of the thing. But yeah, that's the reason why there's no music right now. Even though normally there would be. There's a lot of detail on this guy, too. I'm going to be using that metallic quite a bit. Let's throw some more water in here. Okay. Find some good royalty-free music. Yeah, I've tried. Doesn't matter if it's royalty-free or not. It's like, royalty-free doesn't matter. The bots will claim it, and then you can't... You can dispute it, but it doesn't do you any good, because when you dispute, what happens is it goes back to the person who claimed it, and YouTube asks, "Are you sure you own this?" And then, of course, they inevitably say yes, because then it comes back to you, and YouTube says, they say that it's actually theirs, so you can either sue them, or you can just give up your contest. And since normal people don't have the money for lawsuits, you're shit out of luck. So royalty-free music doesn't help, because the bots still claim it, and there's nothing you can do about it. And of course, it's all handled by algorithm and robots and everything, so there's no actual person reviewing it to make sure that anything's going on there. No. Which, I mean, I get it. There's so many people using YouTube on a daily basis, it's impossible to manage it all, but still. Howdy, Jerbear. Welcome aboard. We're just painting some shit. Hope you enjoy your stay. While I bitch about YouTube. I'm sure it's nothing you haven't heard before. Create another account and pre-claim it. Yeah, that's not how that works. What's really funny is like the names of some of the accounts that will like the thing is like the audio gets claimed before you even upload. So before you upload a video, while it's processing it, it actually does an algorithm check. So before you even publish it, and there are certain bot accounts that are set up to automatically detect that, and so they claim your video before you can even publish it. So it's not like your video's been up for a while, somebody sees it and they're like, "Oh, this guy is using our music." No, it's before you even publish it. Alright, there we go. Oh, that red is looking fantastic. It does not show up very well on this camera. I really need to get one with like an autofocus feature. Because, frankly, this is kind of sad. But it does look very nice. It doesn't help that my lighting in here is kind of crap. I've got a window right there behind my monitor. I think I can actually... I have a window right here, so the lighting that comes in is kind of crud. Yeah, it does air into having some private videos as well, so it doesn't matter whether it's actually earning ad revenue or not. It's just, yeah. It's just an automatic process that happens to make sure that you get as screwed as possible. Because we can't have nice things. It is not allowed for us to have nice things. But it's a small annoyance, really, because, like, again, I'm not in this for the money, so it's kind of annoying that it happens, but at the same time, I make the videos for the fun of making the videos, and to see people commenting and saying, "Hey, this is fun, I enjoyed this." That's the reason why I keep doing it, so... Lord knows it's not for the money. There's very little money to be made in this business anyway. And if I was trying to make money, I'd have to turn into some sort of obnoxious asshole with a 3-minute advertisement for some shitty product at the start of every video. Like I said before, I promise never to advertise anything unless it's a product I actually use myself and fully believe in. And I'd have to be really impressed with something before I'll plug it on my channel, I can tell you that. Welcome to the stream, Craig. Glad to have you with us. We're just painting up a Cyclops. We went with a pirate unit called Blood Rain that was formed out of the remnants of Rimworld's Republic forces after the Ameris Civil War. Some of them ran away and became pirates. That's what this unit is. Seemed like a cool thing to paint up a Cyclops to be. Today's Cyclops is brought to you by NordVPN. Yep, we all know it's true. NordVPN, Raycon earbuds, Raid Shadow Legends, Curiosity Stream, Skillshare, Squarespace. Like a few of these are things that I use. I use Skillshare, and actually Skillshare is pretty cool. Not sponsored, but Skillshare is actually pretty neat, and it's helped me with a bunch of stuff. So if you actually get a creator's discount code for that, I would recommend that you go check it out, because it's pretty cool, some of the stuff you can learn while being on there. I was actually learning a little bit of coding on Skillshare. I didn't stick with it because I don't have a lot of spare time, but I did learn a little bit about coding with the Unity engine. Pirates, did they ever successfully rate pi? That joke gave me cancer. Why would you say such a thing? As far as I know, they rated pi as a 10 out of 10, would calculate the circumference of a circle again. But yeah, I don't recommend NordVPN. They famously had a bunch of breaches and leaks. I use one called Private Internet Access. I've never had any trouble with it. I think MechWarrior 6 should be made on the Frostbite engine. Maybe. You have to find a developer that actually knows how to make that engine work well first. And I was going to say I doubt they'd give it to DICE, but also I don't even think DICE knows how to use the Frostbite engine at this point. You seen the state of 2042? Actually, does 2042 even run on Frostbite? I don't even know. I think that the engine it was using, Unreal, was perfectly fine. I think IdTech would be probably the best, but I think that might be proprietary. I don't think that's an engine that Bethesda is handing out. But maybe. We need to figure out who is actually... We got to figure out who would actually make MechWarrior 6, because Piranha, thank God, is finally being moved on to other projects. Lord of the Rings Online, of all things. Or at least, it's not them as a company, but like a bunch of people were reassigned from Piranha to the team that works on Lord of the Rings Online, which my wife actually plays pretty much religiously. Decent enough game. It's an MMO, so I don't really do much with it, but Who would make MechWarrior 6? because it's not going to be Piranha. Unreal 4 or 5. Some of the explosions look bad. New MechWarrior game now that MS has the full license back. Yeah, that would be really cool. But again, Microsoft doesn't really seem to care much about the IP. It's Microsoft deals with things like Halo and Gears of War, like these massive, massive series. And now they bought out, was it Activision Blizzard they bought out? They bought out a huge game company. And I think that those giant franchises are all they're going to focus on. I think we might see another dark period of MechWarrior just kind of languishing. Hang on, I'm going to turn on the lamp in here. It's getting a little dark. The sun has gone beyond my window, and so now I am getting reflected snow light through my window. It's not very good for painting. So I'll be right back. Hang on a second. Alright, so that didn't work. Let's bring in the lamp. This is probably going to wash things out even more, but I need to be able to see what I'm doing. So I apologize in advance. There, that's better. I can actually see the parts. The team that made the MechWarrior Legends mod make MechWarrior 6. Yeah, but the problem with that is that MechWarrior Living Legends isn't good. Yeah, I said it. It has vehicles, it has battle mechs, it has battle armor. The issue is that none of them are particularly good to use. The mechs feel incredibly weak. I swear, I went into a match in Living Legends once. I was in a Hollander because it was like one of the only mechs I could afford. Because you have to save up points that you get by accomplishing things, and then use those to buy a battle mech once. So then I got in a Hollander, and I went out, and I think it was a Scorpion coming at me, and I shot it with the Gauss rifle on the Hollander, I think 5 times. Got hits, registered, gave me the points for getting a hit. But the thing just didn't die. I shot it over and over again. And I wound up getting killed by like a commando running up behind me because I've been taking fire from the Scorpion. I've been trading damage with it because I thought, it's a Scorpion. I'll take it out in a couple shots. Nope. The Scorpion refused to die, and I wound up getting killed by a commando. So I play Living Legends almost exclusively as battle armor, just because it's the only thing that comes close to fun for me. Zipping around the map at crazy high speeds, racking up points with, I usually take the Man Pack PPC, and then get killed by something, spawn back in for basically free, and then rack up some more points until I can afford a half-decent mech. And fights with other elementals are fun in Living Legends, because you're both just zipping all over the place. Like, it makes Titanfall 2 look slow and boring by comparison with all the shit that you do. Flying around as the elementals. I mean, it's technically not elementals, it's battle armor, but you get the idea. Re-released MechWarrior 3 in working condition. It had the most grounded briefings and felt like way more of a mech sim game. Yeah, MechWarrior 3 is probably the hardest of the bunch to get running nowadays. I think that the first MechWarrior game, you can just run that in DOSBox and it works perfectly fine. MechWarrior 2 as well. But MechWarrior 3 and MechWarrior 4 are a little trickier, but 3 is definitely the toughest of them. It also has a bunch of stuff tied to your frame rate, so you have to use an external frame rate limiter. If your frame rate is too high, vehicles will actually like teleport into the sky and bounce around. It's actually kind of hilarious. But it does make the game basically unplayable, so the amusement factor wears off pretty quick. Titanfall / Shadow of the Colossus game where you play as an elemental could be fun. I could see that, but at the same time, like if you have a mech game, you want to pilot the mechs. You know, it's one of the things MechWarrior 2 did that was kind of cool, was the mech jacking. And then there was another mech sim game back in the 90s, and I can't remember what it was called, but it allowed you to hop out of your mech and take over somebody else's. I cannot remember what that game was called. I tried it out because there's a guy I would watch on YouTube. He had a channel called The Examined Life of Gaming, and that's actually where I learned about the MechWarrior games for the first time. I was watching his videos, him and Razorfist, and he mentioned it, and I went and tried it out, and it was fun. I had a hard time getting it to run properly or figuring out the controls because 90s PC games and their famously outrageous controls. Heavy Metal? That sounds right. Let me look it up real quick. Open a new tab here. Heavy Metal PC game. That does not look like it. BattleTech has an expansion called Heavy Metal. Genome! That's it! Yes. Yeah, let me look this up. Genome. That's what it was called. Yes! That's the one. Okay, I gotta pull this up on... Ooh, Lazy Game Reviews had a review on it. Can I get this? New window. Yeah, that's the one. Genome. Swap my displays here. There we go. Next simulation game developed by 7th Level. Publisher difficulties led to having a protracted development cycle. Originally intended published by Merit as a DOS-based title, was ultimately released on February 20th, 1997 as 7th Level's first 3D game. Yeah, let's take a little look at the gameplay here.
This is General Alex Wilkins of Union Intelligence.
So yeah, they are on foot.
Center. Select target. Select target. Center.
Okay, hopefully he does something here.
Waypoint 1. Waypoint 2. Union Central Park. Unoccupied. Select target. Select target. Union Central Park. Unoccupied.
Okay, something gonna happen here. Alright. Was there no run button? Thinking Heavy Metal, I was thinking of Heavy Gear. Ah, yes. That's what I was thinking too. But that's not this game. This game, you can hop in your mechs, and when they get damaged, if I remember right, you can hop out of your mech and like get the pilot out of another one and take that one instead. Oh, he is running! Oh my god! Come on, buddy. You can do it.
Sentry Hawk.
There we go. I get the feeling that it's not rendering correctly. I feel like there should be like a texture there that's missing. But it be what it be.
Stopping.
Alright.
Select target.
Okay. Something's wrong with the way he's running this game because it should definitely be going faster. I've played enough to know that you move faster than that.
Stopping.
This isn't a good video. Hang on. Let's see if I can find a decent one. Yeah, we'll watch LGR for a second.
Starting a new game gives you the option, but it's also a legit strategy.
There we go.
It is entirely possible to eject during a firefight, shoot your opponent with a grenade that forces them to eject from their vehicle, then crouch down and snipe them before they can get back inside. And hey, since they're not using it anymore, just jack their ride and proceed in disguise with your shiny new hardware.
Yeah, that's some good shit right there. Yeah, that game was a good time. Again, I really struggled with the controls because 90s PC games. But I had a good time playing it regardless. It's the concept of it that was really cool. Also, Lazy Game Reviews, fantastic channel. Chances are he's bigger than me, so statistically you're more likely to have heard of him than me anyway, but if for whatever reason you haven't, would definitely recommend. So back to what this stream is supposed to be about. Let's get back to the painting. Yeah, a genome-style game would be really fun. The whole concept of hopping out of your mech and... Man. I think it would be fun to have a sort of elemental-style game where you run around and you have to, like, rip pilots out of the cockpits and... Oh, man, that would be fun. But at the same time, it's MechWarrior. You wanna pilot the mechs. Let's get a good, solid, like, old-fashioned style MechWarrior game, and then we can talk about elemental games. Mech Assault 2 had a Korn song. That doesn't surprise me. That game was so early 2000s it hurt. So was the first Mech Assault game. It's very, very Xbox era. I love the games, but they're very cheesy. And they don't really feel all that much like BattleTech to me, to be honest. It's fun to pilot the mechs around, but I mean, some of the mechs are just straight up called the wrong thing, which is always really frustrating. So, like, you start off with in the first Mech Assault game, you start off with a light mech. Can't remember which one it is that they start you in, but it's not a Puma, but one of the loadouts they give you has PPCs, and they call it the Puma, even though it's not a Puma. Alright, I need more water, because this paint is dry. Alright, let's see. There we go. There's a lot of big exposed joints on this guy that are going to need a gunmetal painted on him. So that's going to take a little time, but that's not a big deal. Comstar game where you play as a comm guard doing clandestine operations that climaxes with the offensive on Tukiyid and ends with the fall of Terra to the Blakists afterwards. That could be an option. Kind of like Free Space Silent Threat. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. We haven't really gotten anything in the Succession Wars. Because, like, it was either, like, mercenary work or clan stuff, or... It's like MechWarrior 2, it's all clans. And then MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries is mercenaries. And then MechWarrior 3 is Operation Bulldog, I think. And then you've got MechWarrior 4, which is FedCom Civil War, and then Mech Assault, which is Jihad. We didn't really get a MechWarrior game with the Succession War stuff. I don't remember if the first MechWarrior game was or not, because I've never actually played it, because it looks painful to play. It looks like it is aged like milk. Even though I'm sure it was fantastic and revolutionary at the time. You probably saw, if you saw my review of the BattleTech animated series, then you kind of saw a brief glimpse of what the original MechWarrior looked like. Have we got anything? Ameris Civil War. No, we haven't. As far as I know, all the BattleTech games and MechWarrior games have been post 3025 at least. And I think almost everything. Like there's the HBS BattleTech is pre-Clan Invasion, and so is MechWarrior 5, but they're still they're before the fourth Succession War, which compared to the other Succession Wars is barely even a Succession War. Yeah, a first Succession War game would be so cool. I'd love to do that. That's good shit. That's my last can. Mech Assault was kind of Jihad as a non-canonical point in time. Yeah, kind of. I mean, the story of it is non-canon, but it is set during the Jihad. Given that you are fighting Word of Blake the entire time. Because Word of Blake sucks. They ruined everything. Alright. I wish I could play music from the BattleTech game on this stream without getting copyright struck, because that is fantastic music, and it's good for painting too as well. Go for Succession Wars. I feel like battleships need to be a factor somehow. Yeah, probably. Or you could set it like later in the first Succession War, where the warships have largely been destroyed. But yeah, you could do that. Deus Ex style FPS in that setting. You still need to have mechs, though. You can't have a BattleTech game and not have the option to drive a mech. That's got to be in there. It'd be like having a Star Wars game and not having lightsabers in it. Which is actually something I wish they do, because Jedi are lame. But, yeah, that's just my opinion. Yeah, a game about the formative clan age. Ah, yeah. That would be cool. Operation Klondike would be a really cool time period to have a game in. But like we've gotten clan on clan in MechWarrior before, with MechWarrior 2, and I believe Ghost Bear's Legacy as well. Howdy, Steven. Welcome to the stream. We're pinning a Cyclops. Why did I... You read the title. Why am I telling you that? Let me just repeat the title of this stream real quick. Act like it's new information. Alright. We are making some progress. Probably about time to dip this thing in the brush cleaner and get the bristles loosened up a little. Age of War game where you're Charles Kincaid taking the Mackie into combat. I mean, maybe, but also the Mackie is kind of a piece of shit, and probably wouldn't be that much fun to have a whole game based around. It's not a bad idea, though. I think, like, that initial stage where everybody's, like, experimenting with the new types of battle mechs and just kind of throwing things out there to see what they could do. Because, like, there are mechs that were made in that time that we don't know about. Like, you could just invent things. Like, yeah, they made a couple of these and it was, like, too expensive or it didn't work quite right. So you could, like, just make up, like, proto-mechs. Not proto-mechs, but, like, prototype mechs. Or see, like, really early versions that have design cues that you can kind of recognize would become a thing in a later battle mech, but it's not quite that yet. That could be pretty cool. Simulation game about the Exodus where you need to get the SLDF remnants safely to a livable space, and the goal is to do better than Kerensky did. Okay, so kind of like an FTL or a Barotrauma type of game. I could see that. Like a fleet management type of game where you have to like manage your ships as well as the the morale of your crew, deal with like uprisings, that type of thing. That could be cool. The thing to keep in mind is that they didn't run into any sort of real combat while they were out there outside of the one incident. So you have a game where outside of managing your resources, you're not actually doing a whole lot. And that's one of the things that was, so that wore down the SLDF people so hard was the boredom of it all. Step 1, Space Nicholas. Yeah, step 1, jettison Nicholas out the airlock. Just get rid of his ass. Let Star League and Exile rip itself apart with their civil wars. Don't bother making the clans. Just have them disappear. A Blackwatch scenario. That could be cool. Like an American Civil War game that maybe starts with the Blackwatch would be really cool. I'd like a game that does both infantry and battle mech stuff. So a game kind of like how Titanfall 2 did it. Because when you start Titanfall 2's campaign, your first little bit is as just a basic rifleman. And you do a little bit of combat as a regular foot soldier, and then the Titans attack, and it shows you just how powerful these things are. And then you get to pilot one. I think something like that in BattleTech could work really well, where you're, maybe you're like Blackwatch trying to breach into the throne room in the palace, and so you're like fighting your way through Amaris's goons, or trying to get your way there. You have to like get past the battle mech that's guarding the entrance and deal with it, and it's like super difficult. And you do some infantry combat, and then you get to pilot the Highlanders and just lay waste to a bunch of battle mechs as you make your last stand. Kind of like that first mission in Battlefield 1 where you just kind of hold out and survive as long as you can, but you inevitably... Or more like the final mission of Halo Reach. Alright, I need to put more paint on this palette because I'm running out. Nicholas had a pretty nice Atlas too. Definitely not planning to steal that from Stronamecti. Yeah, but he's not the only one that has an Atlas 2. There are plenty of mechs in the space. Get this man some more moxie. Yeah, I could use some. But I don't think my wife is completely dressed, so I'm probably not going to be sending her to the store. Don't worry about your typos. I know what you guys mean. It's alright. Autocorrect is a bitch. It happens to the best of us. But yeah, a game that centers around the American Civil War with an infantry and a battle mech component to it would be really fun. Not necessarily swapping in and out like what Titanfall does, but kind of like how... You remember how Call of Duty 4 had regular infantry, but then it also had the AC-130 section. Something like that, but you have a few missions where you play as battle mech pilots, or most of the game is battle mech stuff. But you have a few where it's Call of Duty style first-person shooter with BattleTech stuff. Mountain Blade, but mechs in space. Yes, absolutely. And that's kind of what the HBS BattleTech is. Kind of. Except that it's turn-based in the missions. I could see something like that. I mean, that's kind of what MechWarrior 5 is. Just without the... It's just not as in-depth as Mountain Blade is, in terms of, your connections and joining up with a house and making your own way. If MechWarrior 5's mercenary bits had been fleshed out more, it could have been a Mountain Blade type of game. But that is definitely a good idea. I think that's what we all wanted out of Mech 5 Mercs, and I'm sure that as the years go on, we'll get some mods, some just amazing mods that will make the game into that over time, and there's already a lot of progress that's been made. Though most modders really seem to be interested in adding more mechs and more weapons and HUD upgrades, stuff like that. Stuff that's still good and important, and that I definitely use. But there isn't quite as much around, the actual game systems. And I know that stuff is a lot harder to mod into the game. But I'm sure that over time we'll start to see more in-depth stuff like that taking over. Well, there it is so far. You can kind of see my blurry-ass camera. MechWarrior 5 is ambitious but fell short of that vision. Yep, I would agree. Definitely a case of Piranha biting off more than they can chew as usual. Over-promising and under-delivering. And I don't hate the guys at Piranha. I really don't. I think that guys like Darren are decent enough guys. They communicate with the community well enough, but my issue with them is that they are a small company that keeps trying to do big company things. So they'll say that they're working on something and that they want something to go a certain way, but it's way beyond what they can actually feasibly deliver on. And so it ends up looking like they're just making shit up to drive up hype, and then just being lazy and not doing it, which I know isn't really the case. They work hard at it, but That's what you look like when you try to do something that you never had a shot at being able to achieve. And it's something that keeps happening. Like it's a recurring pattern with Piranha. I also don't hate MechWarrior Online. Maybe sometime I'll do a stream of MechWarrior Online. Get some people together and play that. That'd be fun. The weapons and mech shouldn't make or break the game. The storyline and lack of bugs should. Yeah, I mean, I found that MechWarrior 5 is it's a fairly stable game. It works. There's a few things with like the ragdolls here and there, but I feel like the core of the game was compromised. And then the extra content wasn't focused really on fixing a lot of that. There was some they implemented. They basically just took the Better Spawns mod and made it a feature of the game. But the fact that it released with the spawns being so incredibly fucked really shows where the priorities of Piranha were. And that's the thing. Like I think that the guys at Piranha are BattleTech fans and that they do like the setting quite a bit. But I think that they like it a little bit too much and that they're more interested in making call-outs and references to things that happen in the universe than they are at making a good story and a good game. Because the plot of MechWarrior 5 is the most boring, generic MechWarrior plot in existence. Bad guy wants Lost Tech. Wow. Never heard that before. Oh, we got the location to a secret SLDF thing somewhere. Alright. Cool. That's original. They're fighting over Lost Tech again. And I get that the fight over Lost Tech is a big part of the setting, but it's always Lost Tech. It's done so often. It's done to death. We don't need it anymore. We get it. We already know that's the majority of what's going on in the Inner Sphere, but it doesn't have to dominate every story that gets told. I know I'm a little bit of a hypocrite because I threw Lost Tech into Twisted the Knife, but it's not really the... I guess it kind of is. Okay, you know what? I am a little hypocritical on this because I did use it as a major plot point in Twisted the Knife. That was more because I wanted an excuse to put the monster destroyed from Macross into the story. Have you ever been in the battle pods? No. Nope, sadly, the battle pods really stopped being a thing before my time. And as far as I know, the only place that still has them is in Texas, I think. I live in Maine, so going to Texas is kind of not an option. I've never been that far west or south in my life. The farthest south I've been is Atlanta. The furthest west I've been, I believe, is Kentucky. So, like, I've never gone anywhere near Texas. The furthest east I've been is Prince Edward Island. You know what I think would make a nice game story idea? Play a ROM agent and make sure that the succession wars go on foot, in a mech, and even outside of combat. That could be fun. An RPG where you play like a mech warrior and you bounce around to like different mercenary companies, just trying to make your fortune. That could be really cool. Maybe like eventually get your own mercenary company. So a rags to riches type of BattleTech game would be fun. So like MechWarrior 2 had the option where you could either lead your mercenary company or you could just be one of their mech warriors. Something like that, but on a bigger scale. Yeah, Lost Tech is the BattleTech MacGuffin, like Infinity Stones. Need a plot device? Lost Tech. Yep, I agree. Sir Arthur Dane. That is exactly how BattleTech is done. And, I mean, it works. Like, It fits the setting, and it's something that would be a convincing, motivating factor for basically anybody. It's just like, is that the only thing we can think of? It's old reliable, and it works. I'm just tired of it. C-bills is the only reason you need. Yeah. Yep. Nothing but the almighty C-bill, unless you live in the time period where that's no longer a thing. In other words, the parts of the BattleTech that suck. Paladin Demo says, I got done painting a couple of aces for my 2 new Risalkas. Awesome. You have to, if you're in the Everything BattleTech Discord, you should share those. Actually, on my Patreon, I do have a Discord server for my patrons, and there is a section for sharing your miniature painting there, and the guys that are there give really good feedback. It's been a fun place so far. We've had some interesting discussions. We debate the lore, we talk about what parts we like and what parts we don't. We yell at each other and call each other morons a little bit. It's a good time. Cyclops nice. Have you got to use it yet? Not this one, because I just got it yesterday, but I have used it before, and it is definitely a good mech. I like it a lot. I think I used it in MechWarrior Online for a bit, too. Then I figured out I don't really like playing assault mechs in MechWarrior Online. I like the light mechs. Paint the toenails. There we go. That looks nice. That's very nice. I'm missing some spots. Fill that in. How goes the painting techniques? What ones are you using? Nexus, what I do, I have my own little version that's similar to what Duncan Rhodes does. So, a thin coat of your basic paint color on the plastic, and then I kind of paint around it with the details. Then I'll dry brush it with some dirt, and then I will add a wash of some kind over top. Typically, I use Agrex Earthshade because it's a brown, dark brown wash, so it gives it a dirtier look, which really pops on the gunmetal that I use. So it's similar to what I learned watching Duncan, but it's I've made it my own a little bit with things that I've discovered work. And that's the thing about painting. Like I've got my techniques. Other people have theirs. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't really prime. I find that the basic colors, unless it's a bright primary color or something that needs a backing coat to look right, basic colors like this darker red will just go on and they'll be perfectly fine as they are. If I wanted it to be more vibrant, I definitely put something behind it. But I like the sort of dull, rusty red that it gives me when I go just on the gray. plastic like that. You ever gonna be modding some models? I might. Not this guy. I find that a lot, especially with these newer figures, they look really good the way they are. But I do have the Black Knight here, and I missed out on the Clan Buster release. So I might take maybe some old 40k bits and give it a sword of some kind. Take like a power sword and maybe glue that to its hand. Make it sort of a Clan Buster. That'd be kind of neat. But I'm not a WYSIWYG gamer, so it's and it doesn't matter nearly as much in BattleTech because it's the WYSIWYG approach isn't as big in the community as it is in something like 40k. But I've never gone in depth as like putting magnets and things. So I'm not super into modding the miniatures. Like I said, I think they look good the way they are for the most part. There we go. A little too much water. I'm getting some air bubbles in there. I don't think you could WYSIWYG every configuration. No, definitely not. Especially if you're like making your own custom mechs with the mech customization rules and you got like machine guns in the knees and shit like that. Yeah, Jason, unfortunately, this camera actually doesn't focus at all. It's just not a feature that it has. I bought a cheap one. I'm looking to upgrade at some point. But yeah, I know the image is kind of crap. I'm sorry. It's a 720p camera, and it doesn't even seem to do that very well. So when I make more money, I'll go out and get myself a better camera. Definitely going to want to upgrade that if I'm going to regularly do painting streams. I don't want to have every single one of them look like crap. I'm a very poor man, and I pay my bills sometimes when I can afford to. Actually, that's not true. I do pretty well for myself. I mean, fuck's sake, I've got... Come here, you. Got one of these things. I got a fucking Oculus Rift. So, I'm not destitute. I can afford things. Thoughts on LAMs? Yeah, they suck. I believe if you watch my infamous Phoenix Hawk video, you'll get a pretty good idea of where I stand on LAMs. As much as I love Macross, LAMs are stupid in BattleTech and make no sense. They're a liability. Hey, Chirino, welcome to the stream. How you doing? We're mostly done with that initial coat. He laments over them. All right, look. Look, all right. All right, look, you motherfuckers. All right. Johannes Karamazov asks, so by the way, considering how much is invested into battle mechs and Solaris that most likely don't make any battles, make mini battles, how much is the entry fee to see one of those matches? Well, I would imagine it works kind of in the same way that NASCAR does. So I'm sure it's not cheap to get in to see a Solaris match, but they're not funded. The stables rather aren't funded by ticket sales. They're funded by sponsors. So it's rich people and big companies that want to have free advertising out there. They sponsor a mech or a stable, and they go out there and like put their name out a little bit and endorse their products and what have you. So while I'm sure it's not cheap to get in to see a Solaris match, it's probably not prohibitively expensive if you're outside of like the travel to Solaris. Because, I'm sure that I don't think it ever outright states in BattleTech how expensive interplanetary travel is, but I imagine that it's not cheap, given the logistics of how jump ships work and how few there are. It's probably not cheap, and it's also probably super inconvenient because of the amount of time it takes to go from place to place. Oh, Cherno, your roommate decided to air all of your dirty laundry? God damn, that sucks. Probably have to sign a phone book size contract to cover stuff like Gauss rifle shots going out into the stands. Well, actually, they have... I'm sure there's a waiver that you have to sign, because there are instances of that happening, but they do have things like AMS and protective screens, stuff like that, protecting the gallery. If you read... Oh, man, what's the name of that book? There's a book that's set on Solaris 7 that talks about it. Shoot. I've got it in my bedroom. I'm going to go grab it real quick and double check that. Alright, I found it. Got it in paperback. I actually ordered this one off of Amazon because I found an entry on the book while I was browsing around on Sarna, diving down a rabbit hole. The book is Illusions of Victory by Lauren L. Colvin, and it is about a Solaris jock by the name of Michael Searcy. And it's actually it's kind of about the start of the FedCom Civil War. So one of the first shots. So there's like the Davian sponsored stable and the Steiner stable, and they have a match that becomes incredibly heated and involved because like Solaris has become very political. So it's almost like your favorite football team in parts of Britain, where like if somebody asks you what your favorite football team is, don't answer or say the name of an American football team and just have them call you an idiot. Because if they're asking what your favorite football team, they're actually figuring out whether or not to kick your ass. So that's kind of how it is there, only much worse. And it becomes this big thing where these two, Steiner and Davian guys, have a massive rivalry that gets built up over the course of the book. There's agents that are purposefully causing riots and fights in the streets of Solaris surrounding it. And they sabotage their contest so that one of the actual walls, protective walls around the arena, breaks down, and their fight spills out into the streets of Solaris 7, and it becomes this big thing, and then like other mechs from other arenas end up breaking out of their arenas, and it becomes a giant free-for-all just out in the streets of Solaris, and there's riots and people throwing shit at each other and beating up cops. Just absolute pandemonium and chaos. Super cool. One of my favorite things from the FedCom Civil War is actually this book. And it's... say what you want about Lauren L. Coleman, but that guy writes very well. He has a very readable style that I enjoy quite a bit. So Gabriel Gonzo says, "Hey Mage." Hey, how's it going, Gabriel? I assume that's you joining the stream. Welcome. Glad you could join us. So anyway, back to the mini. I keep getting distracted by other things. Chirno, about the force fields, not necessarily. Says, if such a thing existed, we would see the damn things everywhere. It could just be very fiercely protected lost tech. Or maybe it's something that only really works in that specific situation. Like, yeah, it will stop ballistics, but you can walk through it type of thing. Measure of a Hero is good. I think I have that one on my shelf. I've read it. Yeah, I've definitely got that one. It's kind of... It's a little generic and predictable, but it's a good enough story. It's a fun little story. It's well written. Anything's better than DRT. I couldn't even finish the first chapter of DRT. It's so bad. And I don't even know if the story's any good. It's just the writing style turned me off right from word go. I'm just like, I can't read this. Got a bunch of people sitting around discussing politics with a lot of information they shouldn't really have at their level. In a very stilted and unnatural feeling conversation that is so obviously exposition to get the reader up to speed. Very unsubtle. Comes across as very amateurish. And as an amateur writer, you know, I recognize amateurish writing because it's something that I've done in the past, and I see that, and it reminds me of back when I first started writing. I was making tons of mistakes like that, and it makes me cringe. Like, no, I remember doing stuff like that. Oh, by the way, Catalyst, if you're looking for new writers, call me. Yeah, Devin, DRT is a BattleTech novel. DRT is an acronym for Dead Right There. It's something that actually when I was a firefighter we used, not in front of the public typically, but we would sometimes report if you came up upon a body of somebody who was obviously dead, like not, they may be unconscious, let's check for pulse, or they're struggling and they may die soon, or no, I'm talking like somebody who's fucked up, like somebody who's either been burned to a crisp, or they're ripped in half, or they're missing their head, something like that. You just look at one of the ways you deal with seeing shit like that is you kind of you learn a joke about it. You have a dark sense of, we call it gallows humor, and that's kind of how you cope. So you look at something like that and say, yep, we got one DRT. Dead right there. Yeah, Chris, I've actually submitted to Shrapnel, but it's a lengthy process, and tons of people are submitting to it. So it's unlikely that your story gets picked up in the first place, and if it does, it takes months. And you can only submit one story at a time. So Yeah, Devin, Black Ops 2 level bird corpse. I know exactly what you're referencing. uh, yeah, you see stuff like that, and it's like, yeah, there's no saving that guy. That's DRT. So the official term for that is dead on arrival, or DOA. We tend to call it DRT. Just you show up and like, yep, you dead right there. And I didn't see a ton of stuff like that. Like I saw it every now and again, but it's not like I'm a seriously traumatized person who I've seen all the things. No, not really. Like I'll make jokes about it every now and again, but no, I wasn't in it for very long, so I only saw some things that were really screwed up. Some of those guys have been in there for ages, and they've done way more than I ever have, so I only did a little bit of it. Enough to know what I'm talking about. Just enough to be dangerous, you know? Alright, oh, I missed a spot. Shit. Let's get that. Look around. I think we've got the basic coat down, and we can start adding the green. Now I have to figure out where I want... Oh, missed a spot. Missed a big spot. Damn, that's embarrassing. Let's paint that real quick. Back of the leg. Actually, I'm going to do that in another color later, so don't really need to hit that. There we go. A little more on that section. That's pretty thin. All right. Be good to talk on Ukraine, or are we steering away from that? I mean, it kind of is the elephant in the room, isn't it? I don't normally talk politics on my channel, but I mean, a worldwide event is something that you can't really ignore. So if you guys want to talk about Ukraine, sure, we can go on that. Johannes says, we talked... now that we talked about DOA, it reminds me of a situation in MechWarrior Online where I've seen a very much zigzagging piranha getting the first shot fired at him, headshotted with 2 heavy Gauss. F's in the chat. Press F to pay respects. Poor kid. If you add the green, would it be a Christmas mech? Well, we're going with more of an olive drab sort of green, so it wouldn't really be Christmas colors, but sure. I think of Christmas as typically green with red accents, as opposed to red with green accents. But somebody's going to make the joke. How many urban mechs would be considered effective military age for Ukraine? None. Because modern aircraft would absolutely kick the shit out of battle mechs. It doesn't matter what mechs you gave them, they would just get torn apart because they don't make sense militarily. No, if BattleTech had weapons like we have today, aerospace fighters would be the absolute dominant form of warfare, and you would be blowing up mechs from distances of upwards of like 20 to 30 miles away. Or you'd have like surface-based fleets launching missiles at ranges of like 500 plus miles, like what the Arleigh Burke can do, and just blowing shit up from practically the other side of the planet. So, yeah, the fusion engines in the Irbies would be more valuable. I agree, Chris. Absolutely. Nuke variant Irby? No. No, don't do that. Ukraine has had enough trouble with nuclear explosions as it is. We don't need any more. And yes, I know Chernobyl was not technically a nuclear explosion, like at least not comparable to a nuclear bomb. But you know what I mean. They've had enough trouble with nuclear fallout as it is. Blue water navies can do that still, just that they're stupid expensive with like 1,200 rate fusion engines. Yeah, well, what I've found is that BattleTech really doesn't have much in the way of surface fleets. They don't have sonar, as far as I'm aware, which, that renders a lot of it kind of silly. And I get it, like, naval warfare is its own entire beast, so you're not going to, like, develop a whole combat system just for them. But, like, there's very little. They also aren't as practical in an age where you are constantly hopping from planet to planet. It's a lot of money to spend on something that can only go on one planet. Though I guess you could make, like, an amphibious dropship that's capable of deploying destroyers and such. That would actually be pretty fucking cool. Why haven't they done that? Or maybe they have, and I just don't know about it. Right now I'm just trying to fill in some gaps here and there. They have mech carriers, yeah. Leopard on water with less guns. No, it would need to be significantly bigger than a Leopard. It would need to be a massive dropship. I could see something that could maybe deploy giant pontoons with anchors or something. I guess you could see something like that. Or something that can deploy on, like, a coastline and then have like, a dry dock that comes out the front so that you can flood it and actually float your ships. Maybe. Something along those lines. Because, like, we move ships in and out of the water today, so you could theoretically pull one out, put it in a dropship, and then carry it to another planet. It'd need to be a whale of a dropship, though. Just absolutely massive. LAM Irby super heavy transforms into a Union dropship. No. Stop. Would be so effective it would be placed as a symbol on the flag of Ukraine. No. Stop. Stop. No. We're not doing Irby LAMs. Stop it. Bad, Chad. Bad. Go to your room. Get in there in the neckline. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to paint the whole face red for now, and I'll paint over it later. Rather than try and fiddle around with it. Let's just give it a nice even coat of red. There we go. Nice and thin. Alright. That's all for the red. We'll start working on the green. I would think you build any naval ships where you plan to use them. Well, That's the thing. Building a ship like that is an intensive process that takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of resources and a lot of time. There's not something you can throw together overnight. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to build those weapons when you can make something that's more mobile and capable of going to other planets and just being able to be dropped just about anywhere. There's not a whole lot of reason to have them. Balabuk says, "Hey Mage, greetings from Czech Republic." Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Sorry about the truck noises in the background. Glad you're here. I'm not entirely sure where you're at, but hope everything's going well for you over there. LRM Irby with Thunder LRM sounds legit. Irby equipped with a snook. You'd only do it somewhere you really want to defend. Tharkod, Tychanov, New Avalon, etc. Yeah, but again, you're limited as to where you can put them. They have to go where there's a body of water. So, a surface ship is more built around the constraints of Earth, right? Because we can't just march wherever we want to go, because there's oceans in the way. The planet is, 75, 80% water? Mostly water. So if you want to get things around on Earth, you need surface vessels. And we don't have drop ships to just pick up and take off and go somewhere. We have aircraft, but there aren't very many aircraft that can carry as much raw tonnage as a surface ship can, so they're still relevant today. And they can get to places that are more difficult for aircraft to get to. They have longer ranges. So unless you've built your city very near to a coastline, your key strategic points are very close to coastlines, which they really wouldn't be, because a seaport wouldn't be nearly as big a source of trade as a spaceport. You can build a spaceport anywhere. There isn't a whole lot of need for surface ships. So I could see them being taken places where you know there's going to be an ocean, but they're largely obsolete. And I think you'll run into them mostly in places like the Deep Periphery or very, very well-developed surface worlds that actually have a use for them. But, like, destroyers and battleships on the open ocean? Probably not. Because a planet tends to be controlled entirely by one faction. Have you ever had a DFA work? Actually, yes, Empire, I have. It wasn't in a game of classic BattleTech, but I did take out one of my buddy's mechs with a DFA in Alpha Strike. What's cheaper, a bulk freighter or a dropship? Well, it depends on the type, really. I know that if we're going by what it costs to build a modern destroyer, those things certainly aren't cheap. I don't know. Yeah, I agree with a Bironius. I don't know how to pronounce that. Bironius Y. Too much of a pain in the ass logistically to deploy. They're too limited in scope, really. For a setting where the bulk of a conflict is happening on a galactic scale, you're going to want something that can be moved around the galaxy with relative ease. And surface ships just aren't really at it. And you may go to a planet that has no ocean. Well, then what do? You don't use ships there. Why would you build something that you can't take out and use to actively protect your holdings? There's also one thing to keep in mind about the military-industrial complex. Just because it should cost less than something else doesn't mean that it does. Balbuck, we're next to Poland, and I'm currently painting a third a Thunderbolt. It's an interesting part of the world to be in right now. I figured it was somewhere over there. I know things are tense, but I'm glad you're finding time to paint some BattleTech and have fun. Alright, now, the green. I think I will do the shoulders in green. Yeah, that's it. Oh, that already looks really nice. I like that the contrast. Grimlock Steve asks, "Hey, Mage Leader, if I wanted a dropship for BattleTech more so for show, what models would you recommend for proxies? BattleTech ones are way too expensive." Oh, you're probably best off scratch building one. There isn't a lot of other stuff, as far as I'm aware, that looks very BattleTech. But you can, a Union class dropship is pretty easy to replicate, just with putting like paper mache on a like a bouncy ball or something. Or there was a guy. So you can go to like Walmart or whatever your local dollar store or whatever your equivalent is, and get. I don't know if this would be a big thing in other countries, but at least in America, you can go into a store and get a plastic baseball. And if you take like sandpaper, you can sand off the texture of like the threads and just be left with a solid plastic ball. Some craft stores, you can also get like a styrofoam ball, and you could paint that up and add some little like plastic bits off of like model kits and make it that way. If you have a 3D printer, there are definitely places where you can get models to print. Johannes Karamazov, other stupid questions. Are there rules for mechs fighting battleships? Yes. Yes, there are. They're not particularly in-depth, as I recall, but they do exist. In fact, I remember MechWarrior 4 Mercenaries, there are a couple missions where you have fight destroyers and absolutely rip them to pieces with very little effort, because they don't actually have the weapons that our destroyers today do. Just a couple of LRM turrets, which is just sad. No, Battleship does not glass mech, no questions asked. Battle mechs are very capable of destroying surface vessels, depending on what they're equipped with. If you manage to get a laser up close and burn through the water line of a ship, you can do some serious damage to it. Welcome to the stream, Thunderclap Sasquatch. It says, I am here. Compelling Confederation is best successor state. Go Clan, Emerald, Panda. No. No, they are not. They are not, but welcome anyway. Hope you have fun. Yes, and Nexus is correct. When they say BattleTech covers everything, they mean everything. You can find rules for anything your imagination could think of, and probably some things that you never would have thought of. BattleTech probably has a rule set for it somewhere that you can find. Or somebody's done some like homebrew thing of it somewhere that works pretty well. But typically, the answer is yes. Haven't seen a can of Moxie in years. Yeah, sadly, neither have I. It's been out of stock around here for ages. I live in Maine, which is where you can actually get the stuff. It's more or less exclusive here. There are some places out of state that'll get it. It's pretty hard to find. But normally, it's available just about everywhere here. And I haven't seen it since the pandemic started, and the stores are finally restocking it. So you better believe I've been drinking this stuff like my life depends on it. Oh, it's good shit. All right. Let's keep putting this olive drab on the shoulders here. Yeah, this green goes on real nice. All right. Oh, by the way, I feel like I should mention something. So, those of you who are in deep with the community probably have at some point come across someone by the name of Magistrix Riley or Riley Centrella. And she's actually a friend of mine. And she's been working on a BattleTech magazine that she releases early for her Patreon, but then after like a couple of weeks, she puts it out for free to everybody. So I actually am helping her with it, and I have a story running in that magazine. So if you liked Twisted the Knife, there's a project that I work on with her in that magazine. So that might be something you want to check out. I think the first 2 issues have been released, the first of which is available for free. So Jason, to answer your question, yeah, it's one flavor. It's, to describe the taste, it's, you know, black licorice? Imagine that a little bit sweeter and in liquid form. That's basically what Moxie is. It used to be cough syrup that they eventually made into a carbonated beverage, and now it is the greatest beverage known to man. It's delicious, and everyone should drink it. But it's an acquired taste. I know a lot of people who really can't stand it. So I make the joke that it's a man's beverage, and it really is. It's got a nice, strong flavor to it. All right, put some more. So it's probably not showing up very well on camera, but we've got sort of an off, almost olive drab, but a little bit brighter, or a little more brownish green that we've got going on this. And it actually goes with that red very nicely. Emerald Chirno, is that an Annihilator? You have to do bright pink. Do I have an Annihilator here? I know I have an Annihilator. I just don't know if I have it on my desk. I think it's over here in the. No, I don't have the Annihilator anymore. That's right. There was that kid who had the T-Rex battle mech that shot lasers out of its butt, and I sent it to him when I did the giveaway. That's right. So no, I don't actually have my Annihilator anymore. I gave it away. Thunderclap says Moxie isn't bad. It's better than Shasta cream soda. That's for sure. Oh yeah. What is the Vallejo color of that olive drab Asperonius? It is not quite olive drab. It's called refractive green, and it's the color that they recommend you use for like Soviet tanks for games like Bolt Action. So it's kind of olive drab, but not quite. So it's more of a Russian style green. Get into the delicate parts here. What the heck is the mech behind the green bottle of paint? Oh, this guy? This is a Black Knight. That's what that is. So, if a group of mechs somehow manages to down FE something like a mechanic warship, are there rules for it falling down and the probably ensuing carnage? I don't know. I never dig into the rules that deep. I think it's just removed, but maybe I don't know. I maybe it's a distinct possibility, but I don't ever look at the rules that deeply. Some people do, and they have a good time doing it, but that's a little much for me. I'm a guy who likes a good game of Alpha Strike. Like, I like classic BattleTech a lot as well, but you know, I'm basic. I'll hop into a simple game of Alpha Strike and have a great time. All right, we'll do these little bits on the chest as well. There. Add a CT weapon barrel and a sword to that Black Knight. Have a Clan Buster variant. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because I've got tons of bits of Space Marine stuff laying around from back when I did 40K. So I think I could take like a power sword off of like a Terminator and stick that in the hand and turn it into a Clan Buster. But at the same time, I just kind of like the way it looks as it is. It's a Black Knight. It's cool. Black Knights don't have to be Clan Busters to be cool. All right. And I think the shoulder pad should have a little green on them. Delicate work. Delicate work. Should really be doing this with a smaller brush, but I'm too lazy to swap brushes. There we go. Black Knight Clanbuster with a chainsword. That actually does sound pretty awesome, not gonna lie. Makes no sense in BattleTech, but I mean, that might still be really fucking cool. Alright. I will do that on the other shoulder pad as well. Hold on. Okay, yeah. I believe that believe my neighbors are actively involved in the act of copulation at the moment, because there is definitely some noises happening. That's awkward. Anyway, I'll just have to talk over it. Jesus Christ. I just have one stream or audio recording session where I don't have to deal with that shit. Good news is it's normally over fairly quickly. The guy doesn't exactly have tons of stamina. It's actually a funny story about that. So when I first moved into this place, I didn't meet my neighbors right off the bat. I lived here for about a month before I actually met the neighbors who live right above us. And it's a nice guy and his girlfriend, and he introduced her to me, said what her name was, and she said hello. I shook her hand, and I swear to God, I just barely caught myself, but I almost said, "Oh yeah, I recognize your voice." I came within a breath of saying that, because I'd heard some things happening. So, play some Def Leppard for them. I actually really like Def Leppard. They're one of my favorite bands. I think Love Bites is a fantastic song. I don't care what anyone says. I think I'll make this launcher green as well so that I can make the missiles red and have them pop. Or I might do a yellow on them. All right. Does remind me, if I ever get around to the next chapter of Twist of the Knife, I got some characters who are gonna hook up. That's gonna be fun to record the narration for. I can say, off subject, I'm sitting here watching paint dry. Well, hopefully it's more interesting than that. Alright. The legs need some green. Do the knee pads. And actually, those thigh pads will probably be really good to do in green. The lady under my first apartment had a Sibian and was addicted to it. Yeah, that's gotta be awkward. Yeah, because when I first moved in, I was by myself. I hadn't married my wife yet, and we were long distance. So I was here by myself, and I had to listen to some very, very interesting noises coming from upstairs. And you're just laying there in bed because the bedrooms are right above each other. So I'm laying there trying to sleep, and it's just like, how about the sounds of porn coming from the next room over? So yeah, that was awkward. Some good mods for HBS BattleTech. I haven't modded HBS BattleTech, so I couldn't tell you. I hear good things about Rogue Tech. That's about all I know, really. I'm just not a huge fan of that particular game. Didn't really tickle my pickle. All right, definitely put some green on the head unit here. All right, and we'll put that up on there. And I don't want to do too much of this green because it really is mostly red. I think we're ready to move on to the gunmetal. Favorite non-clan Omnimech? I don't like Omnimechs. To be perfectly honest. The guys at my game store and I have a term for them. We call them mechs for dummies. I don't like the idea of them. Takes a lot of the strategic thinking out. And just slap shit around and do whatever, and it leads to some really imbalanced shit. I think that it's overall a blight on the game. So I don't normally play with Omnimechs, and I don't spend a lot of time in the eras where they exist, because you always have that guy who has like his favorite min-max build that is... He'll refuse to play without it because he needs it in order to win. You know the guy. We all know that guy. Won't play unless he has the most overpowered faction so that he ensures victory for himself, and that's the only way he knows how to have fun. We all know that guy. Alright, let me get my metal out. This may be one of the ones I have in my box over here. It is. Boom. Really need to replace that with some Vallejo stuff, because I do not like the Citadel paint pots. They dry out your paint, and then it's crap, and you can't use it. It do what it do. So for my gunmetal, I typically use Citadel's Iron Warriors. And it is a very nice gunmetal color. If you don't know that guy, you are that guy. That is correct, Buronius. Yep. Every game store has that one guy, and if your game store doesn't have it, it's you. I typically go nice and thick with the gunmetal. It's because it's the only way that you really get the metallic effect properly. You do have to be careful because it does tend to bunch up. You gotta spread it out just enough so it doesn't clump up. You also don't want it to be patchy. You want it to be as complete as possible. Really, you should prime before you put on a metallic like this, because if you go Apache on just bald plastic, it is very noticeable. It also tends to scratch, so be careful with that. What scheme are you going for the Cyclops? Asks Champ Diamondfoot. This is a pirate group called the Blood Rain, and they are former Rimworld's Republic forces from the American Civil War who turned to piracy after the war. And they have a very cool red with olive drab paint scheme that I wanted to try out. We looked around for a bit, for quite a bit actually. I think it's like the first hour of this stream is us just trying to nail down a paint scheme to do. And this is the one that I settled on, because people were trying to get me to paint Canopians. One guy had a really cool Draconis Combine unit that I would have liked to have attempted, except that I really, really hate the Draconis Combine. Bunch of weebs. I missed a whole section of red there that I'm going to have to fill in. Matthew Merrick says, Mage, do you only play stock models or do you lightly mod your mechs? It depends. I don't really metagame when I play BattleTech. And so when I do sometimes do that, use the mech creation rules to make my own mechs, but I always try to make it something, that makes sense, rather than trying to build the most powerful thing. So they don't tend to perform very well when I do, because I like to constrain myself to what makes sense as opposed to what just does raw numbers. So I don't really do it all that much. Okay, we got that. The arm joints there look very nice. Another spot that I missed with the red that I'll have to go back to later. Find a Canopian and paint him. No. I refuse. They do enough painting on themselves as it is. They don't need my help. Chirno says, honestly, I can't paint for shit, plus I hate it, but I like to hand these off to my sister. So far the paint schemes have been fun. Yeah, I enjoy painting. It's cathartic, and nobody's good at painting when they first start out. All right, it's a thing that you have to practice, just like any other skill. But I found that like a lot of people tend to be better at it than they give themselves credit for. You are your own worst critic. Critic? Oh my god. The fucking priest from The Princess Bride. You tend to be your own worst critic. So, a lot of times you're better than you think you are. I would definitely recommend practicing, because there's something satisfying about when you finish painting a mech, just stepping back and looking at it and being like, yeah, I did that. Or having like a fully painted force on the table. Alright, I'll put some of this on the back of the head unit. This is a tricky spot because it's hard to reach. It's kind of in between a bunch of stuff. Yeah, that you are your own worst critic thing is something that I have to remind myself of constantly when I'm writing. Everything that I've ever written, I look at it afterwards. I'm like, this is shit. You know, like this is crap. I can't put this out there. It's terrible. I hate it. But then I do, and people are like, oh, this is great. I love it. And so, I keep doing it. Some people have got it in their head that I know what I'm doing. They're wrong, but I do what I can. Do the heat sinks up here. Heat sinks are a little tricky because you have to go hard on them, but also be really gentle. Because you got to get into the grooves, but you also don't want to overpaint the edges of it, because then it bleeds over onto the other things that you've already painted. Then you have to repaint it, and that's always annoying. Admiral says, okay, so we have the hermit crab, the crab, and the king crab. What do I need to fill out my crab lance's heavy slot? That's a tough one. I don't think there is a crustacean based heavy mech. You could design your own and call it like the lobster or something. Or the horseshoe crab. Jason Peterson asks, other than BattleTech for tabletop, what else do you play? Exclude 40k. Okay, well, I play some RPGs. I play D&D. I dabbled in Pathfinder a little bit. I'm not a huge fan of it. There was Starfinder, which I liked more than Pathfinder, purely because of the setting. Let's see. I tried Shadowrun for a bit, and that was pretty cool. I haven't played Cyberpunk yet, but I do plan to. There's been a bunch of game systems that I've tried out at one point or another. That's most of it. As for war games, I do play a little Bolt Action, and I recently actually got a starter set for Black Powder, an American Civil War set. So I do branch out a little bit, but BattleTech is the one I cover the most, and it's one thing that I'm trying to branch out from a little bit. I know I've built this channel on BattleTech exclusively, but there are lots of other things that I enjoy besides just BattleTech, and I do plan on making some videos on them as well. I've got one in the works where I'm going to talk about a movie that I like, kind of in the style of the video that I did with the BattleTech animated series, because there are lots of things that I like. I don't know if I should spoil what movie I'm going to talk about or not, but I don't know, I might. Get this heat sinks on the legs. There we go. Heavy Gear is fun if you like mechs. It really scratched a huge tabletop Votom's itch for me. Yeah, I haven't actually tried Heavy Gear. I might give it a shot. I know some guys that play War Machine as another mech-ish tabletop game, but honestly, I just the art style of it is really unappealing to me. It's not bad art. It's just not really my thing. It doesn't appeal to me. It looks a little too cartoonish, just for my personal taste. But the game itself looks pretty fun. I did play a game of it using one of my friend's sets, and it's fun. It's just not really my jam. Jason, no, I have not played Traveler. I'm not super familiar with it, but I have kind of heard of it floating around every now and again. There we go. Welcome back, Nexus. Yeah, Devin, it looks like the conversation has indeed turned to RPGs. I don't have a lot of time for RPGs like I used to, but I do still play them every now and again. Most of what I played is D&D. That's the main one, but I have played a few others here and there. Some of this gunmetal on the ankle joints here. And we gotta get the backs of the legs. I keep pulling the miniature off camera. It's not like you guys can really see it all that well anyway, but I like to keep it at least in view so you're not just staring at nothing while you're already listening to nothing. Again, normally I'd have music, but the copyright bots have been very mean to me lately, so I'm a little trepidatious about pulling up music. YouTube was all like, you may lose your ability to stream. I'm like, oh, I can't have that. And there goes the refrigerator. My apartment is so small that like my refrigerator is maybe 7 feet behind me on the other side of the room. It's not a very big place that I have. So when it turns on, you're going to hear it. I went a little too thick on those vents, but that's okay. I can clean that up. All right. We all need to listen to some more Sabaton. Yeah, I would love to. I believe me, I'd love to play some Sabaton. See, I'm not a metalhead at all. Like I actually dislike a lot of metal music, but Sabaton is digestible enough that I do enjoy it. But there isn't a lot of metal that I enjoy. I find that a lot of it tends to just be covering up very weak composition with maximum volume and loud guitar. Just wail on the electric guitar as loud as possible so that nobody notices that our music writing is shit. And I know that's not all of it. Like, I hear some here and there that is really good, but the whole genre just doesn't do anything for me. It just sounds like noise to me. Matthew Merrick asks, do you have a favorite time period to play in BattleTech? Yeah, 3025 usually is where I like to hang out. I'd like to do FedCom Civil War as long as people aren't going crazy with Omnimex and clan shit and advanced tech. But, yeah, I tend to hang out in around 3025. I'll play just about any era, really, with mercenary stuff, but I don't like using advanced tech. I don't like... I'll play against clans, but they have kind of an inherent imbalance that kind of takes a lot of the fun out of it for me. May want to try Hammerfall. I haven't actually heard about that. Yeah, Balbuk, you talking about my take on the metal genre? Yeah. Well, I could rant about metal. Like, how it's constantly claiming... Like, metalheads tend to claim anything with a loud guitar in it as being a subgenre of metal, even if it has nothing to do with any of the other quote-unquote subgenres of metal. They can sound nothing alike, but they're considered subgenres of the same thing because loud guitar. There's a lot of really crappy metal out there, and it's spoiled. The other thing is, like, when I like to look up video game music to listen to, and the amount of times where I'll be listening to it, and then the algorithm will pull up a metal cover of like an orchestral piece, which is what I really like to listen to. I'm classically trained. I used to play in an orchestra, and so when I hear metal, it's oftentimes like offensive to my classically trained ears. And I'm not a prude. Like I like, harder rock and stuff like that, but it needs to be well composed. And I find that a lot of things tend to be just super weak composition, and it's just max out the volume and just don't even bother writing good music. Just max out the volume and wail on the guitar a little bit, a couple of cheap chords, and call it a day. And people will just flip their shit over it, being like, oh, it's hardcore music. It's serious music. And no, it's stupid. And again, there's good metal. I've listened to good metal, and there are some bands that do it well, but I just find that I've had so many metalheads be like, oh, you should listen to this, because this is actually a good metal band. And then I'll listen to it and be like, no, this is just noise. This isn't music. It's just noise. Or there's music here, but it's being drowned out by the fucking guitar. Shut up the guitar guy. He's not adding anything. He's not even playing the song. He's just wailing on a single note over and over and over, just sustaining that note, and it's clashing with the rest of the music, and it's drowning out the actual harmony and the melody, so you can't tell what the song is supposed to be. It's not music, it's noise. And that's kind of an outsider's perspective on it, because I don't listen to it a lot. But that's been my experience with it. It just doesn't sound good to me. So yeah, I said I wasn't going to rant about metal music, but there I went. There's also this... I'm still going. There's also this really annoying trend that I see with metalheads, where everything, every other type of music is compared to metal. Even if it's an apples and oranges situation, it gets compared to metal or a metal band, and it's like that's the only type of music that they listen to or that they think exists. And it's like they'll call me a prude for not liking it and saying that it's just noise and not real music, but then that's like the only thing they ever listen to. And it's like, the one who needs to branch out here and stop being such a prude is you. Everything is metal to you. There is so much great stuff out there, but you won't listen to it unless it has the loudest of loud guitars and the hardest of chords and drums that are so fucking loud that I can't hear what the music is supposed to be. When the lead instrumentalist in your band is the fucking drummer, you've done something wrong, and it's time to go back to the drawing board and figure your shit out. I like a good drum beat as much as the next guy, but it's not supposed to be your entire song. I probably just made some people very upset. I'm also remembering that Razor Fist sometimes watches my content. Sorry, Razor, but I don't like metal. I think it sucks. If you ever get around to watching this shit. But hey, send me some what he's an expert on metal bands. Maybe he could send me some things that are good, because I'll admit that a lot of what my opinions on it from a place of ignorance, because I don't delve into it super deep. Maybe he could send me some that are actually good and convince me otherwise. As a situation, I led the trumpet section of an orchestra for 2 years. I've been playing types of music, and not just classical. Like I was a lead trumpet in a jazz band as well, and so I've played and experienced lots of different types of music, and I have a love for many different genres. But metal is like dubstep to me. It's just noise. What's another music genre that I don't like? Modern country music. I love classic country, like John Denver, Glenn Campbell, stuff like that. But I cannot stand modern country, because it's just pop music with a southern accent. That's all it is. Like, there's some exceptions. You'll get some good country music every now and then, but I find that the vast majority of it, it's pop music with a southern accent. It doesn't sound like country, outside of maybe the instruments they're using. But the composition is just boring pop music, formulaic shit. And it feels like they aren't actually writing the music they want to write. It feels like they're writing what the formula has told them to. There's also like a degrading of the classic American values that made country music so enjoyable to listen to in the past. It doesn't feel like Americana anymore. It just feels like generic song about how much I love fucking every woman in my town. Song number 589. It just gets old. There's also, yeah, modern pop music is the same way. It's just trash music. It's been written by rewritten by a machine on new technology. Now I understand the problem you can see. It's awful. And I know there's a lot of people that, you know, um, there's a lot of people that really like modern pop, and I find, oh shit, that's my ceiling. So, a lot of people really like modern pop, and they always seem like drones, and it just doesn't. They don't seem like they know anything about music. The chattiest Merrick. You love K-pop, right? You talk about it all the time. You know, that's actually kind of funny. I don't hate K-pop. I find that our Asian neighbors tend to write music better than we do, and I actually do enjoy J-pop. I know I rant about weebs all the time, but K-pop is okay. I find that J-pop is actually pretty good. Like, it reminds me of like 80s music, like what it used to be over here. They tend to be much better composed than a lot of the shit we get over here today. And since I don't know any Japanese, I listen to it and I'm just hearing the composition. And I mean, maybe the lyrics are stupid and crap, but the composition is strong for the most part. I also find that the Japanese are really good at doing orchestral music. I don't know what's in the water over there, but those guys are incredibly good at composing classical and orchestral music. A lot of my favorite video game soundtracks come out of Japan as well, like Ace Combat. Probably gonna have to eat my words. I'm pretty sure Ace Combat's composed by a Japanese guy. I should look that up. I should know who composes the music for Ace Combat. It's like some of my favorite soundtracks of all time, and I don't know the composer. Let me look this up. Yes, Keiki Kobayashi. Hot damn, this guy does good work. Then there's Castlevania. Consistently has some fantastic, just some of the best music I've ever heard. And Castlevania is, I'm going to geek out about music here a little bit. Castlevania is some of my favorite video game music because it takes the instrumentation and a lot of techniques that are used in like 80s pop music and rock music, and it incorporates them with classical instruments and classical styles that are just they shouldn't work, but they do. Like they meld together somehow, and I don't know how he does it. A driving bass line that pushes the song forward, has like this manic energy. It just keeps moving and moving and moving and moving. But yet the actual and then it's written in like perfect sonata form. And it's, how are you doing this? This shouldn't be possible. Oh, it's incredible stuff. So that combination of modern and old-fashioned fits the theme of Castlevania itself as a game series. So not only is it incredible from a composition standpoint, it perfectly fits the series that it's in, and I cannot get enough of it. It's so damn good. And when they do, and Castlevania will delve into metal sometimes. And when it does, I love it because it's done well. It's very, very good. So, oh man. Yeah, I love the Castlevania music. It's just incredible stuff. All right, I think we're almost done with the metal. Both the discussion and the gunmetal. Hit the waistline here. This is a painting stream, Mage Leader. You gotta do the painting. But yeah, if you aren't familiar with the Castlevania soundtracks, I definitely recommend that you look them up and give them a listen, because, like, especially starting with Symphony of the Night, where they could actually put higher quality orchestration into video games, because they actually had the storage space to do that. And so starting with that game in particular, they really started to go up in quality. I mean, like, the NES and SNES games had great soundtracks as well, but, you know, they were bit crushed. Chadius asks, so be honest with us, Mage, how much are you sniffing of that paint? Well, you know, I have no idea, because ever since I got COVID like a month or so ago, I can't smell shit. So I could be huffing it and just not realizing it. Haven't the faintest idea. Alright, so let's do those brackets around the cockpit. Cock. There we go. Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm very passionate about music. I take it very seriously. A little too seriously, really. I don't know Guar, Jason Peterson. Harvard being classically trained, and look at them. I don't know who they are, so, you know, make of that what you will. Also, I do see the messages about the dim lighting. Unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot I can do about that, because, well, if you looked at the ceiling earlier, you may have noticed there is no actual ceiling-mounted light in this room, so all I have is a lamp in the corner to illuminate the whole room, and it does a decent job, but it's not great for filming. Actually, I could probably open up the blinds, and that might let a little more in. Let me give that a shot. Hang on. Don't go anywhere. Don't chew on the lead miniatures. What are you, fucking Neanderthal? Jeez, it's bad for you. Stop it. This is why so many Americans have brain damage today. It's all the lead paint. Lead toys. Alright. I don't think that makes any difference, because the sun is setting now, so. Oh, I should I should probably show the view outside my window, because it's kind of hilarious. I have this beautiful big window here in the living room with a gorgeous view of this pile of dirt. This little hill here. That is the glorious view out of my window. So, welcome to my home. Okay, so Guar is a trip. Guar, those fellows with the crazy mascot-like costumes. Isn't he married? Yes, I am. The moment you get tossed in the back room. Guar is almost a mock metal band. I mean, one comes on stage as a giant wang monster and nuts on the crowd with a great bit of regular. Wait, what the fuck? Hold on. Okay, now I have to look this up, because what? Hold on. Okay, let's move this to another window. I am going to see what Guar is. I'm going to look him up on YouTube. Here we go. Oops. What the fuck is this?
Do you want blood?
Not really. Oh my god. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the? Oh my god. This guy's got a fucking beholder in his crotch. Oh no. Oh. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, look at that. They're part of the Orange Man Bad crowd. What a surprise. Yeah. Oh, boy. Just... What even was that? Okay. You guys are gonna be the death of me. I didn't fill in this. I gotta get this spot. This missile launcher here. Those guys are all classically trained from Harvard, huh? Harvard standards have definitely fallen. I think we can all agree on that shit. Fucking what? I don't even want to listen to their music. Honestly, knowing that they've taken the Orange Man Bad stance is enough to make me be like, alright, fuck that. Buronia says, can't tell if that made or ruined Mage's day. Well, let me tell you this. I could have gone the rest of my life without ever knowing they existed, and I would have been perfectly fine. Let's just, yeah. Nope, my 13-year-old is sitting behind me. Why is your 13-year-old watching my content? Don't you have any idea how much I cuss on this show? I'm not a good influence on your child. This is not a good place for kids. I'm not going to tell you how to parent your kid, but parent your kid better. On something similar but more sane, try Lordy. I'm good. They definitely sound like the loud guitar type. Of course, granted, I literally listened to like 2 seconds of audio because copyright, but... Ay. Why do you do this to me? Alright, I gotta fill in these spots that I missed earlier. There we go. 13-year-old is more likely to teach you new curse words. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It's probably true. Why do you swear so much around your kid? Oh my god. What has the world come to? We can't even have 13-year-old kids that don't cuss like sailors anymore. What the fuck? Back in my day, if my mom caught me saying the words I say now, To this day, like if my mom was watching my stream right now, she would come over to my house and kick my ass. I guarantee it. Alright. I think we're about ready to move on to... Oops, gotta patch that up. There we go. That's better. Alright. Can you hint at when the Firestarter vid will come out? No, because I don't know when it's coming out. So, I'm hoping for next weekend, but we'll see how that goes, because I got a few projects that I'm running right now, back to back. I gotta write something for Riley's magazine, and then I've got to work on my next video that isn't the Firestarter. I'm working on a film review, I guess. More like... It's more like just sharing a movie that I like and why I like it, more than an in-depth film review. But I wanted to branch out with the content a little bit. Try something other than just talking about BattleTech all the time. As much as I love BattleTech, there are other things in my life that I like to talk about. That is from Glasgow and talks just like one. He would have kicked the shit out of me if I swore as a kid. Yeah, well, that's part of the problem, isn't it? When you want to make sure that your kids are talking correctly, but then you don't talk correctly around them. They learn from you, so. All right, we should be good. So I have a lighter green here that I want to use as kind of like an accent to make that olive pop a little bit more. Ooh, okay. You've got a dribbler. Yeah, that's just going to be there now. No big deal. I've already got so much shit on this fucking mat. Alright. Yeah, this light green is, or this forest green is always so thin that I don't have to thin it at all. It just goes on. Right. Yeah, that looks good. And then we'll do it on the wings on the shoulder pads here. I should not have used the word dribbler. Ay, ay, ay. There we go. And the other shoulder pad. Dribbler coming in 5x5. That's his call sign, huh? Dribbler. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. That's actually a good one. It's going to be another channel meme. Dribbler. Oh, why did I use that word? On the hands here. There. Now, after that, we're about ready. I think we are ready, actually, to put the metallic on for the other bits here. All right. There. And we will need the glaze. Boom. And we will need the other glaze. And then we will need where is it? The other glaze. Cyclops pilot dribbler, he keeps them moist. You know, we used to have a saying back when I was in the fire department. We say we find them hot and leave them wet. I'd also like to point out I have painted probably 99% of this guy with one brush. So you don't have to go out and get a bunch of expensive painting stuff to paint your minis well. The War Painter Regimental brush is what I use. It's a little rough, but it'll work. Ah, Nexus. I see you are a man of culture as well. some of that. This is just a really bright metallic that I put inside things like the barrels of the PPCs and on the cockpit. Something very bright and reflective. We'll do that in the lasers as well. Okay. Then we let that sit for a second and dry out. So while that's going down, I need to find my yellow. And I like to put on something like this with that big eye on the Cyclops. A little dot of yellow will kind of add a little bit of extra depth to it underneath the glaze. So I've got this. This is all dried out and crappy, but I can still get like all I need is a little tiny dot of it. So I can do that, and for that you can use something like a toothpick. I've got the Insane Detail brush here that I use for this type of thing. As you can see, it is, well, you can't really see it, but it is tiny. There's almost no bristles on this at all. Very, very small. But something like a toothpick or a needle or a pin will work just fine. As you can see, it's all fucked up and gunked. But I just need to get a little bit off of it. Enough for one small dot of yellow. Right there. And that will dry. And then when I put the glaze on top, it kind of makes like a sun reflection effect. So to give you that sense of depth about the glass itself. So we're going to do green for the lasers, blue for the PPC, and then we'll do the orange one for the eye. No, we'll do green for the eye, and then we'll do red for the lasers. That makes more sense, I think. So we'll take the brush. This thing's got a nice big cockpit, so I can get away with doing this. You just kind of want to gunk this stuff on. You just kind of want to cover until you don't see the silver anymore. You can kind of spread it around a little. And that looks pretty good. Again, the lighting is really terrible in here. You can kind of see it. Use different colors for small, medium, and large lasers. No, not really. I could, but since I use the same effect for the lasers that I do for the cockpits, it would tend to make it look a little repetitive around the mech. Ever wonder how the paint stays the same color after getting that hot during combat? Well, who's to say that it does? I mean, the mechs are getting lasered and all this other stuff, so they probably, every time they get fucked up, their paint changes color a little bit. They got burn marks and everything. Take the red glaze here. Do that on the lasers. And where it looks really nice is on the PPC with that blue. Oh, yeah. And again, probably not showing up on camera, but we've got a very nice blue in that PPC. I'll definitely upload a photo to my community tab when it's done, so you can actually see how it came out, because this camera only is getting worse as time goes on, because the lighting's getting harsher and harsher. And I think it's ready for dry brushing. So let that sit and let that let those jeweling effects dry a little. But yeah, I think this looks great. Fantastic. I do need to put a little more green glaze on the cockpit, though. It's a little uneven. That's the trick with it, is that it's this big curved surface. So if it's not an even application, it definitely shows. At the same time, you don't want to go too thick, or the jeweling effect gets lost. There we go. That's better. "35 seconds from my house to yours. I can see the screen on your cam." Yeah. Oh, all my stats are being displayed there. You just... There we go. Alright. Yep, I think that's ready for dry brushing. Now, dry brushing, you probably want a dedicated brush for, because it doesn't work quite as well with the regular brush. It's doable, but it's a lot easier if you have... it's a lot easier if you have a special brush for it. Jesus Christ. Dying of cancer out here. Ooh. Yeah, this brush needs to be washed a few times. That was a crunch it just gave me. Alright. So, let me find... Where did I put my dirt? Where's my dirt? I also need something... I've got one of these things that all the alpha... Nah, it's got holes in it. I don't want to do that. Son of a bitch. All these fucking paper plates sitting around. I'll use one of those. So I'll move the wet palette out of the way. You don't want to use a wet palette for this, because the whole point is to have dry paint going in. Hence why it is called dry brushing. So your goal isn't to blend it or to make it coat evenly, it's to be dirty. There's my dirt. I bring some bright white onto the table. That's going to make the lighting way better. You just need a little bit. You take your brush and you just get a little bit on it. You wipe off the excess until you start to get the effect that you want, and then just kind of hit the mech a little bit. I use these sort of light, quick swipes with it. You don't want to go too hard or you'll start to scratch off the paint that you put down. And depending on how intense that is, it's not necessarily a bad thing, because that can add to the effect. But yeah, you just need real light touches with it. And it'll tend to stick around the edges of the plastic and give it a sort of windswept look to it. And you don't want to go too heavy with it or it overdoes the effect. And I think that's something I was a little guilty of with my Atlas that we painted last time. I went a little too heavy on the dry brushing. You just need a little bit. I think I went overboard because it's a darker color. You just kind of got lost in the process. But you don't really need that much to sell the effect. All right, see you next time, Jason. Thanks for joining in. It was good having you. Time for Blood Bowl. Ooh, that sounds like a good time. See you later, Paladin. It's good having you. For those of you who are thinking of running off, stick around because we're almost done, actually. Dry brushing is one of the last steps. Okay. I'm not talking much because this is actually kind of a delicate process. I gotta focus a little. We're getting it. Get a little bit more on that shoulder. Remember, a basic rule of thumb when you're painting a miniature. If you like the way it looks, you're doing it right. So I give tips and everything, but if you find a way that works and it works better for you, do it that way. That's the right way to do it. You know what results you're looking for, so do the thing that gets you those results. Don't let anyone tell you different. At the same time, be open to advice, because somebody might have something you didn't think of. But don't let anyone tell you you're doing it wrong. Yeah, what I find helps gear shiv, if you have too much paint on your brush when you're dry brushing, so you can kind of see what I'm doing on the plate here. So you go into the paint, and then you just give it those swipes on that until there's almost nothing coming off of it. And then just very, very light touches on the plastic after that, and that should give you a good effect. Definitely want to go heavier on the feet. Those are the parts that are getting the dirtiest. And don't forget to stop every now and again and actually clean off your brush, because it'll get gunked up. Then it doesn't work as well. And it especially happens with the dry brushing, because you're working with much thicker paint. So stop and just kind of work that out. And just like that, I think we are done with the Cyclops. We just got to shade it with a wash. And then it will be finished. Let's get this plate out of the way. Yeah, that looks great. I like the way this came out. All right, let me find... There it is. Agrex Earthshade. Wonderful stuff. Hides a multitude of sins. If you made a mistake while painting, don't fret, because chances are it'll come out in the wash. Anyway. You want to be careful about using too much of this as well. If you just glob it on too thick, it'll actually make your miniature shiny, which, unless you're going for a glossy finish, which you're probably not if you've dry brushed it like this, but unless you're going for a glossy finish, you probably don't want that. Well, it sounds like the neighbor's kid just woke up. You know, we got neighbors who fuck, we got neighbors with crying babies, we got neighbors who scream at each other. I'm pretty sure we have a neighbor with a bowling alley upstairs, so, you know, got a little bit of everything in this joint. Hey, John, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. We're closing in on the tail end of it now, but we still got a little ways to go. We've mostly finished up the Cyclops. I'm doing the final step, which is the wash and shading. I'm just going to do it very lightly on this one because it doesn't really need a whole lot. But this helps to bring out that mechanical detail, the little indents and whatnot. Kind of helps fill those in. There we go. Just finished my military service, leaving for home in 2 days. Oh, congratulations, man. Fantastic. So what branch you in? Army. All right. Well, thanks for your service, man. Good stuff. I wanted to join the military when I was younger, but my mom cried and I chickened out, so I never got to do that. It's one of those things I wished I'd done. I went to college instead, wasted a bunch of money trying to get a degree that I'm not using, get myself into debt. So, could have done something productive with my life, but I could have also been shipped off to the sandbox and got blown up by some random dude named Salib or something. All right. And just like that, I believe our Cyclops is complete. So I will definitely take a picture of this guy and put it up on the community tab because the lighting in here is atrocious, and I can try and set something up so that you guys can see it a little bit, but I doubt I'll be able to make that much of a difference. That's the dimmest setting. It's kind of overdone. Hang on, can I pull the light this way? Okay. And try and The light is a little too strong, unfortunately. Very bright LED. You can kind of see it. It's not good, but we gave it our best shot. I think the paint job looks excellent. You guys will like it in the picture once I take it. Definitely like the way it came out. That's a good looking Cyclops. Good shit. All right. Well, maybe turning the light off will help. But this is our result after almost 4 hours of work, where we stopped multiple times to rant about music and BattleTech factions and various other things. All in all, I had a good time this stream. Enjoyed painting it. I'll definitely be doing another one of these in the future. Look forward to the new stuff that's coming out. I've got, like I said, I got that film review project in the works. We've got the Firestarter video that I'm working the script for right now. Check out Magistrix Riley's magazine. I believe it's called Magistracy Monthly. And the first issue of it should be available for free to basically everybody. So I have a story that I've been writing for that magazine. You guys can check it out there. Then, other than that, I'm looking at maybe doing some more gaming streams. We'll see how that pans out. I'm working on organizing something with the guys, my patrons in the Discord, where if all goes according to plan, we'll be playing some Left 4 Dead 2 with some absolutely cancerous mods enabled. Should be an absolute whale of a time if I can get everything working properly. And then there might be some more MechWarrior 5. Just kind of hop in with whatever games I'm working with at the moment. Just kind of what strikes my fancy. That's how I've run this place, and that's how you guys seem to like it. So that's how we're going to do it. Just address John's comment here. There's no lie, it was Mage Squadron that inspired me to play BattleTech and make a Merc unit. Well, I'm very glad to hear that, man. We're very glad to have you here. It's always good to know that I've gotten someone else into this hobby. Rest in peace to your wallet. And I hope that all that goes well for you. You have to tell us tell everybody what your Merc unit's about. You know, where are they from? What's their shtick? What type of mechs they use? All that stuff. Definitely. So again, if you guys aren't in the Everything BattleTech Discord server, would highly recommend you join up there. It's a great group of guys. I have rejoined it and found that the people in that server that I had an issue with before have left. And so it is a great place full of great people. So I hang out there with a bunch of other shit posters. Tex hangs out there every now and again, and he's got his own little section in that server. Every once in a while you might catch him, be able to say a few kind words to him. Once in a while he even pops up in the voice chat. So, we have painted a battle mech today, and while my shitty camera doesn't capture it particularly well, I'll have the photo up and you guys can see what we've accomplished today. Get some inspiration, or perhaps feel better about how much better you paint than I do. So, it was a fantastic stream. Had a great time hanging out with you guys. So, I'll definitely catch you next time. And until then, this is Mage Leader, signing off.